Hello everybody and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. My name is Don Arleth and let's go ahead and get started. This week we had the one-year anniversary of the parliamentary elections, which last year saw the bitter defeat of the ruling Law and Justice Party by the Big Tent Coalition, consisting of the Civic Coalition, the Left, and the Third Way. And for this occasion, we had an address in Parliament by President Andrzej Duda and Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Now we're going to dive into the latest in domestic politics, and for that I'm joined by Professor Artur Kozłowski, Vice-Rector for Science and International Cooperation at the WSB Merito University in Gdansk. Hello, and thank you for joining me on World Talks today.
Hello. Nice to be in your program.
Well, thank you for joining me. Now we're going to, like I mentioned, get into the domestic politics, and we had the one-year anniversary of the parliamentary elections. We saw this address in Parliament on Wednesday, which was quite interesting. I think we have lots of threads to talk about. So what were your biggest impressions coming out after this address in Parliament?
Well, the very interesting one was the president emphasizing the positive role of one of members of current ruling coalition government, appointing good work of Vice Prime Minister Kosiniak-Kamysz, who is representing the PSL party, which actually is competing with the same electoral as Law and Justice Party, but that could signal that there might be a trial from the Law and Justice to maybe to dismantle Civic Platform coalition and changing for cooperation with PSL, which is more oriented into small towns and villages electorate, the same as Law and Justice, but the political mathematics can explain that would be beneficial for Law and Justice to be back on the ruling agenda, to the main ruler in the country. That was signaling that maybe there are some talks, maybe not, but Donald Tusk cannot feel very comfortable with this, I would say, small majority government, and it has to take care of all possible actions of the coalition's partner. So that was something I noticed as very interesting.
Right, and this, well, if that is indeed true, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. It seems like, if you recall last year when, after the elections, when there was this period of time to try and put together a coalition for Law and Justice, since they came in first in the parliamentary elections last year, well, they were trying to pull every string left and right that they possibly could to try and get a majority. But would PSL be interested? Would Kosiniak-Kamysz be interested in blowing up this coalition of Donald Tusk?
Well, maybe not today. But look what is happening on the left-wing party, which is also the part of the coalition. Mrs. Tulak, who is leading the very important for the left-wing party agenda to establish formal and protected by law relations between couples, doesn't matter what gender, in Poland, might be something which will be a test for the coalition. It will be within few months' time where those two topics, the very hot ones, I mean, two with this partners law, with the migration.
Unions,
I
yeah.
didn't mention that, but this is a very big topic right now in Poland and in the European Union. And we have, on top of that, we are coming into the time of presidential elections in Poland. Donald Tusk has already announced that in December, I think the 7th, he will announce the candidate from Civic Platform. Well, it seems that there will be many possibilities for today's coalition parties to disagree on several issues. So the Law and Justice will be awaiting for appropriate time to get into possible talks with. For them, the agrarian PSL party seems to be a very attractive one.
Right, so wait for the right moment to jump in and do a little bit of dividing and conquering if that opportunity presents itself. Now, if we go back to the address made by President Andrzej Duda, well, it was quite a scathing address, and there was a few things that were notable. One is that President Duda is now embracing the Constitution when it really fits him, is recalling back to the debate that was held on the hybrid war being launched against Poland from Belarus and from Russia, on Poland's eastern border. I recall that he cited some of the politicians from that time actually taking the opposite stance that they're taking this week or in general right now. We see a big shift in migration stance here in Poland, with Donald Tusk going to Brussels and going to the European Commission, talking about suspending the asylum procedures here in Poland. So what do you make of this part of the speech presented by President Andrzej Duda?
Well, yes, he was pointed out that the current coalition changed their minds, and actually that originally that was the Law and Justice Party to defend the eastern border of Poland and the European Union at the same time. The very interesting is the point he made that the proposal from Donald Tusk government is that it is limiting, not giving a chance for the Belarusian opposition to look for asylum in Poland. But later on, Donald Tusk had replied, and it seems that Donald Tusk is right, that this does not limit those from Belarus who will apply for asylum. It might be, that was mentioned, that online application, but also other way to get protection in Poland. The problem with the eastern border of Poland is that it is the conflict, the migration pressure is orchestrated by Putin and Lukashenko. And this aim to destabilize situation in Poland, but not only in Poland, in the European Union. And they've managed that for a long time, and it seems that before next presidential election, they might even do it more forcibly, more often. So I think that the talk address from the President Duda was in line with the need of political party he supports, the Law and Justice. And it was rather like an announcement, because later on he didn't listen to Donald Tusk. He just left the parliament as members of Law and Justice Party. So we are rather at the anniversary, first anniversary of a new government, coming into another election timing, and there will be more and more emotions created to communicate with own electorate among the bubbles, to prepare people for another elections.
That's right. It's prime time for that. Now I'm going to play a soundbite from Duda, from Prime Minister Tusk as well. Let's go ahead and see if we can put that up.
I cannot fail to mention certain issues that are outrageous to anyone who cares about the legal order, democracy and the rule of law, and these are all things that are dear to my heart. I won't speculate on where he has the rule of law and the constitution, but it's definitely not in his heart.
So I was wondering if you could put that into context, maybe for some of our international viewers, if there's a bit of irony in this statement.
Yeah, but look, for me, when I try to analyze media bubbles, I mean social media, those who observe Donald Tusk from one side and President Duda from the other side, both of electorate might be happy of what was told. It is not about going into or checking where is the truth. The reality is communicate to own people. For president, it's also another important step to make sure that after his presidency, because it is limited to 2 cadences, he will still be remembered, and maybe the law and justice will somehow take care of his future. He's still a young man, and he believes he can play important role after the presidency, where Donald Tusk is known for his sarcasm. Sometimes he just proved he made a very quick, to the point reply. And again, the truth is in politics, when we come into election, one says about the rule of law and the other one, and we know that they are from absolutely different position, taking part in this very important for every citizen legal situation, where we have constitutional and institutional conflicts still not resolved.
Right. Now, I'd like to ask you about this, the problem in Polish diplomacy. So the new government, whose prerogative it is to go ahead and appoint ambassadors to all the Polish embassies abroad, well, it went ahead and did that. However, President Andrzej Duda is refusing to sign off and effectively rubber stamp the government's selection. Maybe you can clarify some of this debate for us, because we hear from one side, from President Duda, that it is that the Constitution explicitly says that it is him that is supposed to take an active role in choosing these people, but it's the government's prerogative, to actually be able to appoint its own ambassadors, and especially after it goes through the controls and checks of the Parliament, the Foreign Ministry. So where does the blame lie in this case? Is the Constitution imperfect? What is your assessment on this whole diplomatic spat, why Poland cannot have all these ambassadors appointed to its diplomatic posts abroad, and currently has charge d'affaires serving in many of these important posts?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not the first time that when we have government and president from different political spectrum, that we have similar conflicts. We used to have it when there was President Lech Walesa, and at that time ruling ex-communist party, which he was fighting with. The same about other governments where they were not agreeing with president. Where it is, we did try to create, I suppose, the constitution, which will be forcing rather people for the politicians to establish consensus, but it doesn't work in a situation like we have at the moment, that a president who is rather a representative figure in Polish political system but has some priorities and would like to play a more important role that it is given in the constitution. And we have a government which is taking the ruling of the program, and they just cannot agree, and I don't think they will, because it also communicates that each of them, I mean the players, government and president, are representing them core program values, and it is not about giving up. It is rather about fighting for the
Right.
power. So
a lot of
I don't expect a solution
political muscle flexing, and especially in the run-up to the next presidential elections. Professor Artur Kozłowski, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you for the invitation.
And that concludes this edition of World Talks. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us for more on TVP World.